exercising their constitutional rights. Why should anybody be hurt? So if you're sure you'll be hurt, as in Uganda, then you don't do it. Because no one gains from that. You don't gain from it. You won't be beatified. You won't appear before God to be a better person than someone else. The society will not, canonize you. It's not how to go about it. So we don't want martyrs. Which why you appreciate your political milieu. The Ugandan setup, Mugandi, as I understand it, if you don't engage in politics in Uganda, you are relatively safe. If you actively engage in politics as an activist, in whatever form, your life is perpetually on the line. Not so when you cross the border into Kenya. It's not that. In Kenya, regardless of your political affiliation or views, you could be hurt by trigger-happy police officers, or you could be hurt. You don't have to be active in politics to attract the wrath of the state. You don't. That's the difference. The difference between pseudo-democracies and full-blown dictatorships. In a full-blown dictatorship, you are in jeopardy if you confront the autocrat. In a pseudo-democracy, you are at risk when you want to exercise what democracy guarantees you or spells out for you. You are at risk. Protests, asking the police questions when you meet them, where's the arrest warrant, those kind of things could have you get hurt. Or just strolling in your neighborhood, especially in an informal settlement in Nairobi, and you meet the police, that could very easily spiral out of control. That's what you find in pseudo-democracies, that life is cheap. It's cheap in a way that people don't understand, where you think, no, I'm just exercising my right. I'm walking in my neighborhood. What crime have I committed? No, the police will come. You're selling bang, or what are you doing? Why are you loitering? Where's your ID? I forgot my ID at home. I wasn't going for a job interview. I was just strolling to go and buy a packet of milk. No. Where's your ID? Before you realize, this person was taken to the police station and is coming back in a body bag. And therefore, we can't be inoculated against, standing up to this kind of excesses. We cannot. We cannot, Mugandi. We will have to, to express ourselves. And the better, when the government itself sets up such processes, we'll have to participate in those processes and express our grievances in those processes. Whether they take them forward or not, that's a different matter altogether. But remember, there will come a time, Pipita, as I yield, when people perpetrate atrocities will be held to account. It doesn't matter, you may be 80 years old at that time, or you may be 90-something years old. But, justice usually, it may, grind quite slowly, but it does move, and it does catch us up with violators of human rights. Like the Nazis in Germany, some of them ran away, went and hid in Latin America and many other places, and they were pulled out, elderly people, old people. Again, you wonder, why do you arrest somebody so old like that? What will you do to them? It is symbolic that the victims of the Holocaust, at least your perpetrators eventually were arrested. Even if they died a day after they were convicted, that is powerful symbolically. So you don't give up, because you don't know tomorrow. Tomorrow you may get a government that is committed to holding people to account. And some of the people you thought were untouchables may still be alive, and they'll be held to account. So you don't give up. When it comes to justice, justice is not something that expires. as long as the people are committed to justice, it doesn't expire. So you'll be held to account at some point, which why it's imperative that these things are documented. And you don't act on them, but they're documented. People will come and will read all these documents, and they'll find names in those documents, and they will ask, where are these people who have been adversely mentioned in these documents? And you realize some of them will be alive. They'll be held to account. So you don't poo-poo everything, for you don't know what tomorrow will turn out to be like. Pipita, thank you.
All right, it's it's a quarter to 9 p.m. Of course, Home Run EPP runs here each and every weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 East African. Now, I have Diamond here on the line. We were talking about SHA, and of course, we also talked about the change in compensation that is expected from the government, also with the committee being sworn in today as well. So there's a lot of things that are going on, and people have various opinion on it. I'd like to hear your opinion before we call it a night as well. I see Diamond I'm going to juice. I'm going to head over to him. And also, if you're listening in and would like to request the microphone and talk to us, it's wide open. Diamond.
You know, Pipi, when I speak for 2 minutes and somebody misses the point completely, and it turns out to be a lecture, I ask myself if my English is usually very clear or not. But be that as it may, I want to say this and I want to repeat it clearly that there are two things that have to go hand in hand. There is justice and there is compensation. You cannot purport to compensate without looking at justice. Now, the small line, I saw someone read a very small line that had been put there. The committee has been set up specifically for compensation, but they have been told just in case as you look at compensation, you see somebody who has evidence that can incriminate someone, please document and forward to us a recommendation. Otherwise, your role is to look at compensation. That is what they've done. So do not get it wrong. If we will never get justice, and if we will never get the questions of who killed who, tomorrow we will not be talking about 20 deaths. We'll be talking about 400 deaths. Red and Western, I am not saying do not compensate. I do not know why you have to lecture for 40 minutes asking the question why we should compensate. That is not what I discussed. No one says do not compensate. Simple. For you to compensate, look at justice, look at the people who have perpetuated these criminalities. If you do not remove them from the system, 1 month from today, we will kill more people. And now we will have a price for a dead man. That's what I'm saying. We will have a price for someone who has lost his leg. Why do we look like we do not know William Ruto? This is not his first commission. They put up a police commission that was headed by Maraga. They put it up in 2024. Why did the police kill last year? Why have the police killed this year? Because Ruto did not put up a commission. Is it because the commission that gave did not recommend that the police are supposed to take responsibility? We are dealing with a different type of animal. And I know what I'm saying. You might not agree today. I am not asking you to agree. I am asking you to look at it this way. We are dealing with a president who actually gave the police orders to kill. He gave them orders to shoot. He told them to go and shoot whoever they deem is okay to be shot. And in fact, he told them, shoot them in the legs. When we started asking him why he's asking the police to shoot people, he actually told them shoot them in the leg. Why? Because he knows once he shoots them in the leg, he will put up a commission to compensate them. It was not by accident. He planned it very well. He planned it in a way that once the police have shot people in the legs, we will set up a commission to compensate them. And once we start talking about compensation, there are Kenyans who will forget that I was the one who instructed the police to kill. That's where we are. We are in this point of saying, the instruction and sent it to the police and we have videos. We can play the videos the whole night. Murkomen himself told the police that they have been given guns to kill. I'm talking about compensation, Buana. Go compensate them, and we kill more tomorrow. Go pay them so that tomorrow we can kill more. That's what Ruto is saying, and that's what he's doing. And you know what? Even the brightest in our society are falling right into the trap of William Ruto. What does he do? In fact, even his deputy inspector of police instructed people to kill someone. Yes, I don't have the recordings, but we all know what happened. Now we are talking about compensating because we killed him. Look, if we do not discuss justice, and if we do not discuss the perpetrators stopping what they've done, I can tell you for sure, government has the money to compensate, and tomorrow it will do the same authorities. We will come back here if we get a chance. We will come back here. If we do not, somebody else will say it. That on a certain date, William Ruto put up a price for a person who was shot so that the government could have a payment structure for the death and a payment structure for those who will lose their arms. He does not want responsibility. We are asking. The only thing that we need today from government, set up a judicial inquiry to these problems. Until today, we do not know who was abducting who. There's nothing like, let's go pay them. Let's pay them so that we forget it. But, hey man, I do not have to agree with you. I've heard you. I've picked it up. But please do not forget, even Maraga led a police inquiry and the police are still back in the streets killing people. Thank you.
Red Hand Republican.
Yes. I want to ask Diamond a question. But before I ask that, I first want to appreciate Western. I usually have several disagreements with Western, but over the last week I've been reading some books, Freedom and After by Tom Boyer, and also some Stoicism books, meditations and how to be a Stoic and stuff like that. And I've realized that Western is the kind of person that thinks things from beginning all the way to the end, no matter how far the end is. And then he thinks about things from the end all the way back to the beginning, so that you can see how things turn out, or what are the processes and procedures that things must follow, right? So that you can reach a certain conclusion, right? I think even Steve Jobs said that when he was starting his business, he thought about where he imagined himself at the top, where he wanted his company to be by the time he's 60 or 70. And then he worked his way down. If at 60 I need to be here, at 58 I need to be here, at 55 I need to be here, all the way back to 30. And then from 30 all the way to 60. And then you realize all the mistakes you can make along the way and all the successes. So I think that is how Western has been thinking of things. And I've started seeing his way of thinking. So Western, for me calling you a sophist, all these spaces we've had, my apologies, kindly. Whatever. I've started seeing your way of thinking. You're not a sophist. So, Diamond, you've said, and rightly so, that we know who William Ruto is. We know, even Western knows, even I know who William Ruto is. We know that he's looking for a way to sanitize himself. That one we all know. Know that there were, what do you call it? There have been numerous commissions, not just by William Ruto, but presidents before him. We had the Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commission that made a report, and it was made by people in government who were, it was headed, or rather the task force was commissioned by people in government who were guilty. But the commission still sat. The report still came out, but the report was not published. Of course, you can find the report. You can find soft copies of the report. But I think saying it was not published may be a bit of a white lie. I'd probably say it was not acted upon. But the report is there, right? And the reason it's not being acted upon is because there are a lot of people in that report who are in government today, who, if that report was ever acted upon, they'd be in jail, right? So these reports and these commissions, though they were initiated by people in power who were guilty, they still had to be initiated. They still had to be initiated. They may throw it under the bus and put it in the darkest corner of State House somewhere, but the findings of these reports are written on pen and paper. They are there. That is where the Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation report exists, because the government was forced by both the international community and activists in this country to form those commissions. And they formed those commissions, and the reports were written down, and they were presented. Actually, the TJRC report was presented to, I think, President Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga at the time. No. They were presented to Uhuru Kenyatta, but he never acted upon them. But it's there. So, which means that the commissions are not in themselves made to sanitize anybody. It's because William Ruto has to. He has no choice but to form this commission, because the international community, all these ambassadors who are here, and the activist community have demanded that you must, and therefore he has. That is number one. So if we do know, to my question now, if we do know that William Ruto is trying to use this commission in the end to sanitize himself, and you've said that, and I agree with that. So what do you think is the alternative? Like, if William Ruto is going to use this thing to sanitize himself, so are you saying that we should, like, what should we do? Like, what do you think the victims of these atrocities should do between now and when William Ruto comes out of power? Because it's not tomorrow, and it's not till 2027. So, Diamond, what do you think the victims of these atrocities should be doing right now, if William Ruto and this commission should not
Diamond,
be?
answer.
Okay,
Answer, Diamond.
fine. You're very clear. I don't know why you had to text a long time, going round and round. I think I answered that point, and I want to just repeat it clearly. My point is simple. If we are to have a commission, the commission first should talk about justice. We need to hold perpetrators into account before looking at payments. So this commission needs to be set up first to handle justice. Even TJRC, the one you talk about, it was talking about fixing injustices first. We need to fix the justice part. We want to get people taking paying for the injustices they've done. We want these policemen that have been seen in camera shooting and killing people. We want them to be held into account. Why? And I need to repeat it. Why? Because if we do not do that, tomorrow we are going to kill even more people. Tomorrow we are going to abduct even more people. I think not even 3 weeks ago, a Kenyan was abducted in Tanzania. And Houghton actually found himself at about 3 a.m. posting about him somewhere in the border of Tanzania. My issue here is that we are running away from asking the real question. Compensation is the easiest part. The real problem we need to fix is justice. And the justice I'm talking about is in two parts. The justice of people being held into account and the accountability of this thing never happening again. If we do not do that, and we move straight into talking about compensation, Ruto wants to do two things. He wants to put a price into a human being, and he wants to put a price into an injured human being. He wants those two things so that he can continue with his authorities, he can continue actually maiming more Kenyans. If we do not fix justice, I tell you for sure, time will you will actually know this with time. Just give it a few weeks, just give it a few months. Kenyans will be in the streets sometimes very soon. If we do not talk about William Ruto giving instructions to the police to kill people, if we do not talk about the police IG sending policemen to shoot people in the streets, if somebody who is unarmed, you're shooting him in the head. You know what? I agree with you. Let us ignore justice. Let us compensate. It won't take very long. We will kill more people tomorrow. If we do not talk about justice, there is no need of talking about compensation. I'm not saying people have not been injured. I'm not saying people who are unable to stand up today and who cannot actually feed themselves should not be compensated. Do not get me wrong. I am saying we also need the person who killed this man. We also need the person who shot this guy in the We cannot be promoting this policeman that actually cut someone in the hands. We can't, man. We can't. That's not how it's supposed to work. Here you are saying, okay, let's compensate, but just in case we find any evidence, we can prosecute. Okay. Thank you. My point.
So Diamond,
yes, sir.
Since William Ruto is not, we know him, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. So what should happen?
We need to push him to do that, or we tell him, please continue doing what you want to do, because we cannot sanitize you. That's the point. We cannot go ahead and try and sanitize William Ruto. That is what he wants to do. He wants you to accept that it is actually okay for him to kill and pay. That's what he wants to do. We can't allow him to do that. We shouldn't allow him to do that. And you know what? That is my full view. I believe that there will never be compensation without justice. That's my point. If you do not think justice is important, that's okay. That's okay. If you think that he should continue with the authorities just because he doesn't want to be asked about justice, that is okay. But I am sorry, tomorrow it will be your family member, it will be somebody else, because he will continue doing what he has done. Please do not forget that we are talking about people who William Ruto himself instructed the police to kill. We're not talking about authorities that happened 50 years ago. We are talking about here, I'm not talking about Hitler who died. I have heard somebody talking about things that happened in Germany in 1933. I'm not talking about Hitler who died. I'm talking about a president who sent the police to kill. Ah, man, I don't know why. I don't know. I'm trying to. I'm trying to raise my voice, but it's not like I want to do it. But how can a Kenyan actually accept that the same president who sent his police to kill people should be given a chance to dictate to us how he will pay them. Oh man. And then you're asking me the question, what if he doesn't want to do it? Nigga, we shouldn't in the first place cleanse his name. He's killing us, man. You can't tell me that because he doesn't want to pay them, what do we do? What do we do? We shouldn't cleanse William Ruto. If tomorrow he will kill more people red-handed, tomorrow he will shoot more people, tomorrow somebody close to you, somebody close to me, somebody close to people will be killed, and you will actually understand why I'm talking about justice. I'm talking about justice because this nonsense should not happen again. I'm talking about justice so that when people is putting up his space today, he doesn't feel like he will be abducted tomorrow. I am sure. I remember there are days when people would put up his space and he could actually not sleep at home. People, do you remember?
Yeah, I had to run away.
How would it be so difficult for the learned to actually understand that justice is important? And the difficult questions, even people with multiple degrees, why is it very difficult to understand that for you to talk about compensation, if the team that was abducting Kenyans is not taken into account, they will abduct more people tomorrow. Maybe you didn't feel it. Maybe you didn't understand. You don't know how many times we had to put up our phones. We had to put off our phones. You don't know how many people had to actually hide so that they are not abducted. If you do not talk about abolishing the abduction team, don't sanitize William Ruto Bana. Don't do this all English. Oh, what if he doesn't want to do it? Nigga, he killed us for a year. He killed us for 1 year, people. Thank you.
Let us listen to the new speakers as well. I see Japan. Paul, now umekula moto sana. Sasa I want to swipe that mic away from me for a minute so that we can also hear from the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Home Run to Hit PP. Comes to you each and every day from 4 all the way to 9 p.m. East African. And we are past regulation time. Get in here into the conversation. Now the Japonji Pale, Paul, and of course, Academia has also joined us, Western Aminom Konoju. But I'm not going back to Western for a minute because umekuwa hapo, so I'll let the new speakers also speak to us. And pale viju, kuna tip line yetu kama kawaida. We are currently garnering out 20,000 shillings, lakini we have gotten 1,000 bob. So go into that tip line and drop in your support. That is how we get funds to offset bills for the studio and to keep the lights running on this side of the studio. So if you like what you're doing, that you can go into that Tifja line and drop your support. Japonji.
Hey, PP, what's up? PP, I think you had sent me host, but I was just listening while on the TL there. I couldn't see it. I just saw it now. Anyway, to the point. You know, Diamonds, I feel you. I feel your pain. I feel your frustration. And I agree with you, Diamond. That is the ideal situation. That is what we expect. That is what we want. But is it what we are going to get? Unfortunately, no. And I don't want to justify anything. So we'll start by saying, if there is no accountability, I don't know if accountability and justice mean the same thing, but if no one is taken into account, like there is no accountability, then impunity will win. And once impunity wins, it means we are just in a vicious cycle. Things will just continue being the same. And what makes you think that another person will not be? It's the same thing with corruption. You know, no one was held into account for these COVID billionaires. No one was held into account for these, how you call it, this e-citizen. No one is held into account for the ghost schools. And then suddenly, we are here. We expect someone to be held into account for this, ghost hospital, this SHA corruption and all these schemes. And they are giving you lists of those hospitals that they have cancelled, yeah? But they are not showing you the list of beneficiaries. Because how hard is it just to track, Just a phone call away. It's Sidian Bank. Like, hey, Sidian Bank, can you give us the list of beneficiaries, people who are paid this amount? Because the money ended somewhere. You just follow the money. It's as simple as that. But s- giving us. So this we know. And then why are we assuming, all of us here, that we don't know Ruto? And I think Diamond is right. Diamond told you, actually, Ruto had, when he was trying to make reforms in the police force, Maraga was in the team. They went through the same thing, but at the end of the day, what happened? It was not implementable. They don't have the power to implement. You can discuss all you want, time wasting, all that, but nothing will happen. So when people come here and say, at some point, I let people be, then I was like, no, wait a minute. That's exactly what they want you to think, because what is the deterrent? What is the future deterrent? These things repeat themselves because of one thing only. No one was ever held into account in the past. That's why it's continuing, and that's why people are able to come out here and talk like nothing happened. And that is what Diamond is simply saying. You can go ahead and do what you think is right, because Diamond, the problem is, as I say, that nini pia sijui anaitwaje, ameshakubali. Only Odhiambo has not. Now, I think she's just reading the timeline, reading the room. You see, So once she is there, someone said, you are not going there to bring something new. Those guys already know even what the outcome, and you will be part of that skunk. Whether you like it or not, there's no running away from that. That is the big problem with Ruto. Ruto will drag you under the bus. Na kuache hapo, You see, and when we tell people these things, they think we are crazy, But what makes you think Ruto has changed? Me, I don't understand. This is the same Ruto who's been doing the things, killing people here and there. And now you want to justify first, giving money first, and then you just... Which one is easier, Diamond? Diamond, we know the people who kill. Justification is... getting justice is so easy. Get justice first, okay? Then, when people get that closure, then it will amount to compensation. You cannot compensate something that you are not even agreeing that you did. Show me any point whereby the Ruto regime, they agreed that they did this. No, they want to compensate in such a way that Diamond is like, mi nikikuja kwako, alafu simu yangu ipotee kwako. See, you can pay me out of goodwill, yeah? Like, oh, simu yako ilipotea kwangu, so you are paying me out of goodwill. That is how Ruto is acting. But in the real sense, he stole it. That is what we are trying to tell you. And as I learned, PP, we are in a situation in this country whereby, as I was telling someone, we are in a situation whereby uh, you go to a 5-star hotel, and then you order the most expensive food. You eat to your best, mpaka you talk with waiters, you promise them tip. Yani you eat whatever you want, the most expensive dish, whether it's $4,000, $5,000, as you wish. You go in Kenya. Once you finish, alafu akulete bill, then you tell the waiter, mi sina pesa. What will you do? And then they call the police, and police arrest you. Even before you reach the police station, you give the police 500 shillings, and you're a free man. And then you walk beside that 5-star hotel with a toothpick, smiling. That is where we are. You have to accept that fact. Thank you so much, Pipi.
Thank you. I see Paul. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, hi, Pipi. I'm good.
Karibu kwenye kipindi. Talk to us.
Yeah, I think I see, like, I think Kenyans, I think I see a tendency of, like, we never learn. We always go through the same cycle and everything. Even I stopped listening. I can't even, like, I can't listen to just anyone from the government. I feel like throwing up whenever I listen. Even when I go through, like, even if I'm in Twitter and I flip and I see someone, I don't have time to listen to garbage. I don't have time to listen to all distractions. And sometimes when you're so kind of into, like, listening or always paying attention to what these guys are doing, it's like you're being programmed. Most people, even if you're aspiring for the good, like I spent like almost 2 months right now just like listen out there, just like normal people, listening to normal people, trying to have like reasonable debate and just to see their viewpoints. If I go to family meetings, I go to different events, and I sit down and I hear so much of like distraction and so much of kind of, in a sense, uh it's like people are being brainwashed. You know, you can get to a point whereby you listen to so much to even to a killer, in your humanity. So in all this, obviously some certain things have to be done, conversations have to be heard, and things have to be heard for, but for sobriety's sake, it's good sometimes just to keep away from all this is happening. I mean, like whenever you know something has happened, and like you can stay off and then come. I've already made a decision. I know what decision I need to make. I don't need to be told or to be rehearsed or to be explained what I need to do. If it comes to a position where Kenyans have to go to the street, I will go to the street. If I know Kenyans now they don't want to go to the street, they're waiting for election. If that's the case, then we'll wait for it and we'll make the right decisions. I'm with Diamond on this because I believe Kenyans don't learn. I think we Kenyans are so much this thing about like commissions and all this such nonsense. All those is just distractions. It's people to play like it's more or less they're playing and like and it looks like we've been forced by the international community to do all these things and stuff like that. All those communities, I mean, like there's a very big picture over here, like what's happening in Kenya. It's not even about Kenya right now. It's about this global politics. That's like we're just like a very small cog in all this stuff they're controlling. But I believe we can still David kill Goliath. We can still do our bit. That's the only hope that I have. But all these things is done for sanitation, is done for them to look good, is done for them to international to just to get to make them feel like, even if you take this case abroad, they'll have they had a commission, they were sitting and they were discussing about this, they were actually held different people, we had a law, the it's the US, it's the British people who'd actually tell them to do these things. Like it's not them who decide. These guys are just like they're almost like agents that have been sent to the country to do whatever, to do the West work. So obviously there's nothing you can do because this thing, whether we like it or not, it's gonna happen. Right? Let it go to throw the face, but at the end of the day, justice has to be that has to be the paramount. The moment justice is not the paramount thing, just let them play the game they want to play. Because that's the game they want to do. But as citizens, I think it's very important for us to voice our opinions, to actually state that what we want is justice. That's the most important thing. As Diamond said, this is a way where you put price on someone's life. This is exactly what you're trying to do. In other words, you're trying to say, I can kill as long as I can pay 2 million or 3 million. So they will know at the end of the day, we'll go ahead and do whatever we can. We've got a price for how much we pay for each and every. That's a very bad precedent to set, because life is not like you cannot value life, or you cannot put a monetary value on a life, and that's what actually the devil does, right? So if the money should not be a case. It's not even them paying it or anything. It's our taxpayers' money. It's our tax that's paying all this. So it's not them paying. It's not. This should be a Kenya. In fact, this thing should be Kenyan led, whereby Kenya side, we want the families to be paid this, or the students or anyone in the family to go without paying. That's the Kenyan decision. If any life is lost, but I think the paramount thing here should be justice. It's not even about money. The paramount thing here should be justice. Kenyans should be fighting for justice, and each person. If there's no one held account, believe you me, we have now set a price for our lives. So anyone can be killed as long as they know, okay, their family will be paid. The same thing they were doing with 2 million. There's people saying, when they're saying, we're going to pay them 2 million. A life was saying, it wasn't people going to the street saying, okay, fine, let me go and die. Mom, you're going to get 2 million. So we should be very careful about that. That's I think that's all I can say for now. But we shouldn't be like in a sense marketing for them all this stuff. We should be actually be really really out there saying that we want justice. Justice is the key thing that we want there. That's the voice that should be out there right now, really really loud. Thank you for the time, PP.
All right, thank you for that, Paul. And also, I feel your frustration when you say that you sometimes don't want to go to spaces. It's quite tiresome even for us space hosts. So imagine I have to sit through this every day, 5 days a week. But yeah, it's part of keeping the conversations alive. So I see Academia has raised his hand. Academia, talk to us.
Hey, PP, how are you doing?
I am well. I hope you are as well.
Actually, I wanted to address something very small. Diamond talked about justice. But Pipita, there is no justice in all this. And you cannot get justice in a criminal case. If somebody stole your money, you reported the person, you expect the person to refund the money back or to pay you back. So if somebody stole you 100,000, you've taken this person to court and the person is charged and then forced to pay 100,000 back. That means you will get that justice because what was stolen from you, you have recovered. But you cannot look for justice where somebody is murdered because criminal offense, you are personally liable. So the person who murdered that person, if you arrest that person, that is punishment, that is not justice. So the person who was killed will never get that justice. So we cannot talk about justice when we are addressing people who are dead. We can only ask for punishment, but justice is not, because justice should be direct to the person affected, not to the family. So this issue of compensation and all that, that's what they can do, but don't say that you don't want people to be compensated because you want justice. Those people are already dead. You cannot get them. There is no justice in criminal law. In criminal cases, there is no justice. It is only punishment that you meet. So if you arrest somebody, even you jail that person, how is that justice to the person he has killed or to the family itself? So let us remove this word justice when you're dealing with people who have committed murder. It has never worked. It is not there. It does not exist. That is a non-existent thing. So we can only talk of punishment, but not justice. Justice is where you are supposed to get what has been taken from you, even more. But in this case, we cannot talk about justice where people have died. We can only call for punishment for those for the perpetrators or people who have committed that crime only. That is different from justice, because if you are punished, that is not justice. Nobody is going to get justice. You are not going to resurrect that person. He's already dead. So that is the point I wanted to put across. You get Pipita. So let us not confuse justice, and those are two different things. So let us push for, if you talk of accountability, what Japonia said, yes, accountability is also form of justice, because if we hold you accountable, you've stolen money, and you want you to get us back the money. If you get back the money, that is justice. If you don't give it back to us, it is not justice. So I think we need to push for more accountability. But we cannot talk of justice where somebody has been killed. We are not going to get that justice. We can only push for punishment for people who have committed that crime. If you pay your mother or somebody is paid 1 million because the son was killed. How is that justice? That's not justice. It's out of law. That is not justice. So justice, you are supposed to get directly. The person who is affected should get that justice direct. Not some. You cannot get justice on behalf of somebody. That is not justice. It is just a form of either. Okay, you can choose to say it is justice, but if I ask you if it is justice, where do we get those people who are killed? Where are they? And if we arrest those who killed them or we jail them, how is just justice? That's the punishment. So you are supposed to get them back for us to talk about justice. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
So just as I learned Pipita, so I think it is good to differentiate these things. And it is just common sense that how is somebody killed, you cannot get justice, you're already gone. So you are telling me that the people who are behind will get justice. How? So I'm not against even compensation or victims or whatever. I think if they want to do it, let them do it. So look at it this way. If they arrest those people and then jail them and then leave that matter, because that is the highest in criminal law. You can only jail somebody. That is the highest punishment possible you can do. Beyond that, there is nothing. Yes.
Okay. And then no, unakuja kama wewe ni wakili, because we don't want you to tell us something out of the blue to the facts. Abdul,
okay, yes.
Yeah, so that we can, because the thing that you're describing right now is something part of the criminal law, penal code. So I don't know if you have an understanding of
that is
it. What
correct. That is why I'm saying this one. You don't even need to be a lawyer. I've killed you, and I'm supposed to be arrested. How is that justice to you in the person? You are not going to get justice. That is a punishment described in law, that if you commit a crime, you are supposed to be punished. Justice is where you are compensated in a way. So somebody steals your money, and then you arrest this person. He's still alive, but you're also alive. And then you want this money back. That is now justice. If this person is arrested and you don't get that money back, that is not justice. You are supposed to get your money back. Now, that is the question, the point I'm addressing, that if you are arrested for killing somebody, that is not justice. That is what the law says, that you are supposed to be arrested and charged. How is that going to resurrect that person? Because the person is already dead, is not going to get justice. What I'm saying, that is what I'm saying. If you have a car and you're involved in an accident, the insurance is supposed to pay you. That is now justice. You get the point? Your car, you are not dead. But if you are dead, they talk of the family affected. They are now paying that family, but that is not justice, because you are not going to get you, Pipita. That's the point I'm making. So let us not talk about justice where somebody is dead. Let us push for punishment, because you cannot get justice where somebody is dead. You can only punish them. So if somebody kills you and then they say, okay, fine, Pipita, let me address this as I learned. If somebody like these people, they have been killed, there are people who are killed during this officer, he shot somebody dead. Now we say, okay, fine. So instead of arresting this person and jailing this person, let this person even pay 10 million. Will 10 million bring the person killed alive? Will it bring that person alive? And is this justice? That is not justice. That is what I'm trying to say. You cannot get justice where somebody is dead. There is no justice. That is punishment.
Thank you. Yes. Let's get the next speaker. 5 minutes, Western.
Pepita, justice is a bigger concept than law. It's in fact more philosophical than legal. For people who have read Plato's The Republic, he grapples with the question of justice. Rawls has got a theory on justice. It's not a legal thing. In fact, justice is more a moral question than anything else. Because if you but does that mean you didn't kill that person? What is the concept of justice there? And the reason why the world has done away largely with the capital punishment is because of what academia is telling you. If somebody kills another and you kill that person, is that justice? It's not. So just to do away with that barbarism, that if someone kills, then they must also be killed. Capital punishment. They have removed it. So, Pepito, what I'm saying is this. The state is the one that accords people justice. If you're looking at the Kenyan context, the way people are looking at it narrowly, you want justice, okay. Will you get justice from an NGO? It is the state that is supposed to accord you justice through what? The judiciary, which is part of the state. So if the state is flawed, what justice are you going to get? What will it look like? What will it look like? And there is no concurrence on what justice means. If you go to court, this legal process, court drama, it's adversarial. It's adversarial because it has got a win-lose situation. So there's no way a court verdict will please everybody. Not all the litigants will leave the court satisfied. There are those who will feel hard done by if the ruling was against them. And those who will celebrate because it went their way. So there is no justice there. Like, it's what the court ruled. And people have to make peace with that. If you can appeal, you appeal. So what does justice look like? Remember what I talked about? I talked about affirmation of the sanctity of life. That we don't ignore people who have been killed or hurt. You matter. It's a more progressive way of looking at these things as opposed to justice. I can compromise the judiciary. I can compromise the judges. Then they don't rule against me. They rule in my favor. What about the victims? What became of the ICC cases if we are talking about justice? What became of the ICC cases? Weren't they compromised? Weren't the witnesses made to recant their testimonies? Weren't some of them disappeared? So what justice do you look for? If a court like that outside of Kenya could not hold the Kenyan political elite to account, you expect a Let's be rational when we're looking at these things. Let's just be rational. And when you borrow from elsewhere, it's not a lecture. What it means is that you can waste a lot of time on something you thinking is unique. It's not unique. Some other people have also gone through that. So if you just looked at them, you can just see what they have done. And if there are things you can borrow from them, it saves you the trouble of reinventing the wheel. So we don't have to be narrow-minded, that our problems are just unique to Kenya. These are problems that many societies have grappled with and they're grappling with. And so you can save yourself trouble. What did they do? How did they go about it? Are there things I can borrow? Are there things that I must come up with? Pipita, the other thing is this. We play games. When this government does, we play games because the alternative is more dramatic. And that does not guarantee you justice or peace. Because even in Ghana, where J.J. Rawlings shot people, he came into power through a coup, 81, and rounded up the Ghanaian military and civilian.
1 minute.
And shot them dead, Pipita. That has not resolved Ghanaian problems. It does not. The same thing in Nigeria. Political elite were shot dead. That did not guarantee and has not guaranteed Nigeria political stability. So if you want drama, you can go for drama. That this president here is playing games. The alternative is drama. That some people, this political elite, you arrest them and shoot them dead. They must now respond to this question that Red Hand was talking about. What became of the Akilano Akiumi Commission of Inquiry into 1997 post-election violence? It's there. Some of you don't know. What became of it? What became of the Waki Commission of Inquiry, 2007 post-election violence? What became of it? TJRC, what became? So you want to personalize these things as opposed to a flawed state. It's not a flawed individual. William Ruto may have his own failings as an individual, but the problems we have in Kenya as a result of a flawed state. The state is flawed because there have been commissions of inquiry before which made these recommendations that Ruto is also making now, or is suggesting that be made. Nothing acted on them. Nobody acted on them. So it's not something new. So it's not a personality thing. You get William Ruto out of power, whoever will come, you will still ask him these questions, and he will not have answers for these questions. He will still be forming commissions of inquiry. Pipita, why would about where evidence so warrants, recommend reparations, prosecutions, or other appropriate accountability measures to the Office of the Director of Prosecutions and other relevant oversight bodies? Why would you think that's an afterthought? Like, on what basis do you rank the terms of reference? Pipita, we're dishonest. No, what makes you think D is the weakest amongst all these terms of reference? What makes you think so? Well, if you begin by saying, I disagree, because those who are disagreeing with this are not stating their position. So they are woolly and woolly all over the place. Begin by saying, I reject this panel. I reject it in totality, and then proceed. But you don't state your position and you go ahead in a cyclic and woolly fashion. That's being dishonest. So let's have Kenyans who say, we reject this process. We don't want anything to do with it. And others say, no, we can have this process. But you cannot afford to be nihilistic. That everything else you reject. Pipita, I'm asking, what then do you want? Because this president is not an aberration. An aberration, I mean, is not an odd president. The presidents you have had have behaved like this, with impunity and disregarding recommendations by commissions of inquiry. So chances are another president you get will behave like this. So you don't tell us that you're waiting for an ideal president who is going to grant you justice. Who is that? Okay, tell me you have applied that Pluto delivers such a president to you. Justice is not something you put on a track and deliver to people. It's not something like that. It's not something tangible. You see like this. This is justice. So academia is saying you don't have to be a lawyer. These are philosophical questions. You can grapple with them from a philosophical perspective if you are a rational thinking human person. But what we do, our default is to go to law. No, law is very limited. Law does not have answers to societal questions and contradictions. How I wish we moved away from that. When we have got problems, we invoke the law, the constitution. The constitution is not the magic wand. It's not. It's very limited. Completely limited. Can we just think as human beings? Let's just think as rational people.
You're over your time. Let's go to the point.
Thank you, Pipi. Pipi, you know, when you don't have it's simple, Pipi, what we are saying is this, two wrongs don't make a right here, okay? And we are not naive. We know the limitations of criminal justice, whereby we know that the true justice is seen as impossible, especially in death cases, because no punishment or money has equal the value of a lost life. We know that. But what we are saying here in this space today is that justice here is more about accountability, deterrence, and recognition than full restoration. No one is saying that you bring back the dead. No one is saying that. That is what we are saying here today. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. So please don't bring for us your own selective, points. telling us how it has not worked. No, we are not talking about where it has not worked. We are telling you, Western and academia, that we also know the law. You don't need to be a lawyer. And we are telling you again, I repeat, we are talking more about accountability, deterrence, and recognition. And these ones have worked before, So no one can repeat that. Simple. We don't want a lot of explanations. So if you take the other way, you want to compensate people on what grounds? On what grounds? Do you think when you compensate people, you will now be able to get what I'm talking about, accountability and deterrence and recognition? You cannot compensate people the way Ruto has set up this thing and at the same time get accountability and deterrence, okay, and recognition, okay? You will not get that. But we are not looking for full restoration. Thank you so much, Pipi.
Let's hear from.
Pipi, can you give me the mic?
Let's hear from Paul first.
Yeah, I think academia and the Western we just got this all wrong. I think at the same time as I was saying, like all those things, you don't need to be a lawyer to know law, right? I can represent myself in court. I don't even need a lawyer. Actually, I think I would represent myself better than a lawyer would represent me in court. The simple thing, that's why you have the judiciary, and this is actually it's very sad coming from a lawyer. The judiciary justice is part. The name judiciary comes from word justice, or they have like a connotation that works together. Justice doesn't mean that it's whatever you have is restored, right? These are very common, simple common sense. You can't say that we're looking for punishment, not justice. The justice in whatever we're talking about will be the punishment. So this is very simple. Once something justice is a very big word. It stands for punishment. It can stand for either damages which are paid. Basically means you have a justice. Doesn't mean anything will be perfect. It's not a perfect word. Yeah, it's just a word that is there to represent what is the according to what the law states. For example, if there's a death or by law, someone will be punished maybe for 10 years. It depends if it was murder, first degree murder, second degree murder, depending on how it is like prescribed. So that's basic. That's just a fundamental thing that I think he should know that. We're not kids here who don't understand. So at the end of the day, justice is a big word that stands for the whatever is prescribed under the law that seems deemed to be given in case of a certain scenario that happens. That's what justice is. Justice even it's a philosophical word, as in it's what is right. It's like when you go to what is ethical, what is right, because law stems from all these things, which is ethical, what is right. As a human being, being reasonable as a human being, if this was to happen to you, what would a society feel deemed to happen or to be done when such a thing happens? So that is basic. So we don't have to go into this like, we're looking for punishment, not justice. Punishment comes from the word justice. It's a bigger word. It's like an umbrella word for what is right to be done on a certain scenario. So that's what we're trying to explain. And we know things are not perfect. And the thing is, it's just because something was not done with the other president doesn't mean it should not be done right now. Yeah. Otherwise, well, why are we here then? So we should just give up. This happens every time, and why are we going for another like whatever these guys are a committee coming together, all these things, if we know it's happened before. We are, at the end of the day, the more they happen, it's even better. We don't say these things should not happen, right? But what we're saying that what should be the principle is justice, basically a deterrent, right? What we're calling for, even when you say justice, we're calling for let there be a deterrent, not just about having this like all this compensation, everything like that. We Kenyans ourselves can even compensate the families, right? We're calling for a deterrent. When you say justice, is that so quite ili iwe funzo kwa watu wengine ambao like, so if the police, once it's done like that, so ili iwe funzo, so if someone else wants to go to the street and kill someone, they'll be like, shit, I think this thing happened last time, these guys were punished, I don't think I'll take the trigger. We're calling for a deterrent. So it's as simple as that.
Dick Diamond.
Pipi, I wish I would take 50 minutes to explain what I do not need a million words to. This evening, I was shocked that a man here is apologizing. I've seen a man apologize and raise his hand. He's gone under his feet to apologize to another man. So I don't know whatever he did. I don't know when. I'm very sorry, boss. Uh, Stand by the beliefs you believe in. Stand by yourself. We want to hear you. We want to hear what you think as a person. I don't think it would be very nice to have two speakers and one of them is working under another one. But be that as it may, it's much better that there is quite some clarity. To call it whatever academia. You are missing the point. You do not need to say if it is justice or not justice or whatever. Call it any name, man. The thing here is that we need to first stop it from happening again. And someone has said it's called deterrence. That's the first thing. And do not use so much of your time here. They are engineers, they are whatever. There is nothing. Whether you are a lawyer, you are a doctor, you are whatever, some of us are just street boys, don't have so much under the name. So do not worry. The thing is, whether you call it justice or not justice, here we want first to deter, we want to stop it from happening again. And the people who perpetrated these ills need to take responsibility. These small lectures of don't call it justice because the person is dead, it's neither here or there, man. That's nonsense. It's neither here or there. It's neither here or there. You can take it to a court of law or whatever. But the point is, if somebody died, somebody must take responsibility. If somebody died, we need to ensure that it doesn't happen again. If we have this commission going ahead to only discuss payments for the people who are injured and the dead, we will kill more tomorrow and we will kill many more going forward. I've heard somebody saying, oh, I don't know which commission has written a report and no one acted upon it, or which other. Why did the same person also tell us that he wanted items to be recorded so that another generation can act upon them? What are you talking about? Both sides of your mouth. If you want us to actually document, and especially document the people who have perpetrated these atrocities, please allow us to document them. Don't come from both sides of your mouth. Allow this country to document the people who have actually perpetrated these atrocities. And we want this documented so that it doesn't happen again. And we want people to actually pay for these mistakes. If you sit somewhere and you believe that the best thing for you is to pay families and move on, and you believe that the biggest thing here is payment, is compensation, I've actually heard some of you saying there is nothing like justice. Man. If we do not stop it, and I want to just finish it this way, people. If we do not stop this thing from happening again, and we put every energy in putting a price to the dead and a price to the injured, we will have played right into the game of William Ruto. We are playing right into his hands. In fact, he will know that he has swallowed Kenyans together. He wants to, and I'll tell you this without blinking. William Ruto wants to have what I would call a worksheet that determines how much he needs to pay. And remember, this is Kenyan money. He will not pay it using his pocket. He wants to have a worksheet that is very clear that tomorrow if he kills, say, John, Peter, Samuel, Jane, or Anne, He wants to know that if you kill a arm, you pay 50 million and you move on. When we say we want justice, and please don't swallow the word and trying to explain to everyone why that one is not justice. Use another word that makes you happy. But let me just explain what it is. When we say we want people to take responsibility, do not get academic about it. We want the person who killed this person to stop getting promoted in the police and go and actually be arrested. Even if he doesn't get arrested today, we must keep asking for this arrest. That's what I'm saying. And that's what we are saying. Even if he doesn't get arrested now, the thing we need to ask is for that man to be arrested. Simple. If you do not think that is okay, then I do not know what the progress you are talking about in the society. Thank you, Pepe. Don't want to take too long. I think I've made my point. There will be only progress if people take responsibility, and there will only be progress if the people that actually perpetrated these mistakes are taken into account. Thank you, Pepe. There's no price for a life. There's no price for an injury. Nothing.
All right. I have Red Hat Republican hand up. I'm going to listen to your quick rebuttal, then listen to Sam and Dr. Mofo. Red Hand Republican.
By first specify, by quick rebuttal, how many minutes are you giving me? Because I know the word quick was not by accident.
5.
So 5 minutes. All right. Now, as Weston has said, we need to be rational. I'm not going to use the words emotional and things like that, because I think people use those words to undermine the voices of others. So it's right to be emotional, but you can also be both emotional and rational. All right. Before multi-party politics, the presidency in itself was an immovable force that could not be removed or moved by when now elections became an unstoppable force that could remove an immovable mountain. 2007, Moi Kibaki tried to be the immovable mountain that will stop an unstoppable force. But Kenyans rose up and there was violence, which meant that elections still stayed being an unstoppable force. But ever since then, something has never changed in Kenya, that after a president wins elections, removing that president is not an unstoppable force up until elections. Meaning, when the president is there during his 5-year term, he is an immovable mountain, whether he's a dictator or not. I'm not saying that supporting the government, I'm just being rational. Kenyans need to understand the country they are living in. You cannot shout like a lion while you live in a pit latrine, or you cannot shout like a tiger when you're in a chicken coop. If you're in a chicken coop, you're in a chicken coop. You may want to be a tiger, but as long as you're in the chicken coop, you're a chicken. You have to understand where you are first before you get to where you want to go. All right, that's number one. William Ruto is the president. We all want him to get out of power. I have attended 3 demonstrations since last year, and I've always gotten back home safe. Of course, the tear gas, of course, having run my shoes, the soles of my shoes off, but I've always gotten home. William Ruto has still stayed in power. However, there's something that changed. As I went home, there are people who didn't go home. There are people who were injured and went to hospital. There are people who died. All I did, all Diamond did, and all the speakers here, when those people were injured, the best we did is to send money, M-Pesa donations. But people like Faith Othiambo, who is the LSK chair, I can't even imagine how much it costs per hour to have her represent you. She wrote off those bills and decided that I am going to represent these people for free. If it was a normal case, you'd probably pay her maybe 20,000, 30,000 an hour. I don't know how much. She's the LSK chair. You must imagine how big her bill is. But her, she did not just send money like us. Her, she knows the victims. If I were to ask anybody here to name me the victims of these demonstrations, you probably know 2 or 3 off the top of your head. And if you are really somebody who knows the names, you won't reach 10. But I'm sure Faith Thiambo has all those names. As we don't have. Her, she has all those names. She probably knows their voices and their faces. She's seen their tears, heard their voices crying. Irungu Hilton from Amnesty Kenya, executive director, him himself, he has stated that the victims told him what they want from this commission. So why are we crying more than the bereaved? Why are we crying more than the bereaved? The ones who are injured, the ones who lost their children, are telling Irungu him himself, he stated. So who are we to tell them ati, hey, you know what, forget Irungu Yuto, numse anawazungusha, nyikaeni huko na mashida zenu, we will deal with William Ruto. What will you do? When I'm asking Diamond that William Ruto will not do that, so what? I am not saying that William Ruto is the know-all, be-all. I am saying that since you know something better that we need to do, tell us. Tell us, okay, let's say tomorrow the commission is disbanded and Diamond, you're told, tell us what you're going to do. The things you will say are still the same things that then they are saying. You will still say, let us get judges to prosecute these cases. You won't come up with any idea that Faith Thiambo does not have. You won't come up with any idea that Irungu Hilton does not have. Irungu Hilton has experience. As we are talking here, as we are talking as young people who have seen something. This is Irungu Hilton's career. He has been doing this as a career, leave alone us who discuss it on spaces and social media. He does it as a career, representing victims. They have the Baby Pendo case. They are the ones who paid the lawyers to defend the family. Is it us? It was Irungu Hilton and Amnesty Kenya who paid. The people who were Amnesty International, Kina Irungu Hilton, they've been doing this for years. So when they say, we've spoken to the victims, they've told us to do this, we're going to do that, what is your problem with that? They are the ones with the experience. So don't cry more than the bereaved. You cannot feel more pain than me who has lost a leg. I'm not saying I've lost a leg, but I'm saying you cannot cry more than a person who has lost a leg. You cannot be saying, me, I feel more pain than you. You just stay there with your broken leg. We will deal with William Ruto. Then tell him how. Find those victims and say, you know what? Forget Irungu Hilton. Forget this commission. They just want to eat money. Let us do this. Let us do that. Give us something that we can do instead of sending Faith Thiambo and Irungu Hilton to that panel. That is all me, Western, and academia are saying. That if you have a better solution, give it to us, something that can be acted upon tomorrow. Not 2027, not 2028. Something that we can do tomorrow. That kesho, tukiamka, this panel, we can remove it, or we can have an idea of how to remove it. And then when we remove it, we can have people of integrity there who will make sure the victims are compensated and there's justice before the end of this year. If you don't have an idea like that, then let the people who have experience, who do this job for a living, who it's their career to do it, and they've done it, and they have results from what they've done over the years, let them do it. But coming here saying people are lecturing you, people are doing what? We're not lecturing you. As we are listening to people,
1 minute.
As we are listening to people who have made a career out of themselves, out of this. If I want to learn about how to integrate M-Pesa, I'm going to go and talk to a developer who has integrated M-Pesa for years. If I want to talk about how I'm going to demonstrate against police, I'm going to go to Hanifa. and say, hey, Hanifa, how have you done this for so many years? Teach me how to do this. But I'm not going to go to a panel of my peers mahali uko kwa kona yetu ya street niwaambie, hey, wasi nifunzeni how to demonstrate. Yet they've not done it. So to land, kindly let the people who have done this thing for years, who have helped victims get compensation, people who have represented victims in court, people who have used their time, their energy, and spent their money and their careers representing victims. Let them do it because they know how to do it. As we're just newcomers in this field, all we can do is learn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you, Pipi. For the victims, they have been failed before, and they don't have a way out. Parents have lost their children. There are people who've been maimed. Some can never go to work. Others are in hospital. And there's absolutely nothing we can do as people from outside. There is absolutely nothing. The best we can is to contribute, like Diamond has said, to at least try and alleviate the pain through a financial constraint that these people are suffering. There's nothing much we can do. Parliament has failed these people through the minority side in Parliament, because we have the minority leader, the whip for the minority, and all those that I expected as the representatives of the people to come up with a way of looking at this matter. Now that they were co-opted into government, they are not able to do that. So from that front, the political front, there's absolutely nothing we can do. People have tried to stir a political way of doing it, but there's no tangible way you can say, let us hold these people to account. Lawyers are on the streets telling these victims, we can represent you in court. Others are doing it pro bono. Others are doing it for money. This is still a constraint to the people who are affected. The mastermind of all these things is still watching. He can opt to watch it and it goes and goes, like we say, and nothing happens. Or he can say, can we try and compensate them? Of course, he's a murderer. That we know. We know William Ruto is not a good man because he was behind it. He has never acknowledged that people were unfairly targeted and killed by the police on his command. He has never acknowledged that. What he has said, these are criminals that the police found on the streets. They shot them and killed them. Unfairly, such statements have come from him. But we can do nothing about it. We are waiting for him on the ballot, 2027, to vote him out, like myself, because he's not a good leader. But this bad man has said, we can form a commission not a commission, wherever that assembly of people, so that they can look into the compensation thing. Compensation is a legal term. There is, for example, if you go to a place and a kifaru happens to injure you, you can legally pursue. Parliament can be petitioned to do this, but I've said that Parliament has failed me on that front. People can go to court and say these are the victims of June 26th violence, June 25th violence, and therefore compensate them through this mechanism.